Donald Trump got cooked. Today we're going to review the presidential debate, the dumpster fire. That was the presidential debate. And like I said at the beginning of the video, Donald Trump got cooked. Kamala Harris absolutely won that debate. She bodied him. Let's watch Donald Trump get cooked in this debate, starting now. And if you think Kamala Harris lost, you didn't watch the same debate that I did, and you don't live on the same reality that I live in. You don't live in the same planet, in the same stratosphere. How do I start this? I already watched this debate last night. Girl, I have to watch it again and see Donald Trump get cooked twice. But I'm also going to be adding commentary, reactions. Let's get into it. Fact checking as much as I can. Today, the girls are in shambles. Tulsi Gabbard is over there on her Instagram page posting picture after picture after picture, post after post after post, because she's trying to do what Donald Trump could not do last night. And she's trying to debate Kamala Harris. Buki, you're not on the stage. You lost. You dropped out of your race, whatever you want to call it. You're not the candidate. And I know you're trying to be backup, secondhand candidate. You're gone. You're toast. You're cooked. And your candidate is cooked. And I want you to stay on the team, because however much you tried to prepare Donald Trump last night, you did a horrible job and he performed horribly. Let's begin.
And President.
Power move right there. Let's start with that. She went behind. Listen, a lot of people were saying they didn't think that Kamala Harris was going to shake Donald Trump's hand. She started out with a power play, a power move. She went over to his podium, forced a handshake. Why? Because if she didn't, if he really had no choice but to shake her hand. So her going over there and forcing the handshake, again, she started the debate off in a power move, power pose. The fact is, this is a man who runs his campaign off of being strong, alpha man. I'm powerful. The Democrats are weak. Like, they could never stand up to me. And I'm the stronger person. I'm the stronger candidate. And she knocked him a little bit off his game from the beginning of the debate. And it only gets worse from there.
To you both.
The question was, do you think Americans are better off today than they were 4 years ago? Essentially trying to answer the question of whether the economy was better under Trump or Biden. And I think there's a better way to answer that question. Right now, she starts talking about how she grew up in a middle-class home. That's fine. That's kind of one of her messages throughout her campaign. But I think there's a better way to answer that question. And a lot of people have answered that question saying why the economy was different, why Trump at the beginning of his run had a better economy than what Biden had right at the beginning of Biden's run. I think she could have answered that question in a different way, but I don't remember what she said after that. But right now, my initial sense is that no, she's not answering the question right off the bat. I'm sorry. This is killing me. His face is killing me. Like, we need to zoom. We need to put in that little mugshot photo, because he looks exactly like his mugshot. I don't know. His face just looks like it's hanging on by a wing and a prayer.
Tax.
And so for everybody who said that Kamala Harris never talks about a plan, look, you can have a lot of hatred, a lot of dislike for Kamala Harris. I'm sure some of y'all will, because y'all would rather vote for anything before you vote for a woman of color in the highest office of the United States. Whole different discussion for a whole different day. But a lot of people kept saying, oh, she never talked about a plan. She never presented a plan. That she just talked about a plan. Y'all, did you not hear her talk about the economic plan? So she did answer questions and talk about plans. Did she go into depth on every single plan, every single point that she talked about? She did not. But you can't say that she never spoke about a plan. And here you already see her going into Donald Trump, what his plan is, which is to give tax cuts to the wealthy. Now, I will say this, right? Based on what I've seen, what I've read, the tax cuts do apply to more than just the wealthy, the 1%. Everybody got a tax cut under Trump's prior plan, or under the plan that's currently in place, because that's Trump's plan. But what she's saying is that that's going to result in a deficit. That's the point I wanted to make. I have a hot take in that I think most presidential candidates and most presidents don't give a damn about the deficit. Like, I think they care, but not enough. Maybe they don't understand it because they're constantly doing things, I think, to add to the deficit. So I think that's, take that as you will.
$1,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
Yeah, see, that's important.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's important. So she's saying that Trump's tax plan would result in an additional $4,000 per year to regular working class families. So do you want, I mean, you want to cut that extra 4K check? Be my guest. Be my guest.
First of all, I have no sales tax. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a
No inflation.
terrible economy, which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries.
No inflation sounds wrong, but let's keep going.
People that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country.
So, and this kills me every time. So let's talk about Aurora, Colorado. So I don't know if you saw the story about this immigrants. The story is that there are immigrants, Venezuelan gangs taking over this broken down, horrible, this building in Aurora, Colorado. But come to find out, city officials in Aurora, Colorado have said that Venezuelan gangs are not taking over. And this was all a scheme set up by Todd, by the slumlord, apartment manager, whoever's in charge of the apartment. This was all basically a PR scheme by the slumlord. So again, you see here repeating facts, repetition of not even, girl, let me not say facts. So again, you see here repeating these talking points that are simply not true. It's like he just goes to Facebook, scrolls on Facebook. He's like your grandpa that just sits at home, scrolls on Facebook all day, sees a meme, and then repeats it as true. Source, trust me, bro. Source, Meta. Source, Mark Zuckerberg. Source, Elon Musk. Be fucking for real.
Dangerous.
President Harris.
Pause. Because if you don't think, if you see what happened there, how did we get on immigration? The question was about his economic plan. How did we even get to immigration? He was asked a question about his economic plan, and he started ranting and raving about immigrants. You see what I mean? The immigrant community is always the community that people blame. People see immigration as an easy scapegoat. That's always going to be the answer to every issue that these politicians have when they don't know what to say, when they don't have anything substantive to say, because they know that's an issue that really riles people up, right? This is an issue that's been in contention in our country forever. So look at the rest of the debate. And let's be clear, right? All politicians pivot. They all do. But I think it's particularly disgusting when you pivot to trashing a vulnerable community.
First respond on the economy here.
That the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump.
The Democrats have had Republicans fighting for their lives when it comes to Project 2025, baby. They had their backs. The Democrats have had the Republicans' backs up against the wall. Put your back on the wall, because they have pinned Project 2025 on Republicans, and Project 2025 is so horrendous. The policy is disgusting, terrible, hugely unpopular. And it was written by all of these people that Trump is close to. Not everybody who wrote 2025 was close to Trump, but a lot of people who were involved in writing Project 2025 were Trump's prior advisors. They worked on his staff. They worked with him. They worked close to him. He's given speeches, right? He certainly knows what Project 2025 is, and understood that this was the policy plan in place for when the next Republican president takes office. I mean, it's right there in the beginning of Project 2025. Open it up.
But remember this. I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare.
It's right there in the beginning. These are the policies and plans for the next president. And that's one of the reasons I think that Donald Trump says in here, well, I don't have a plan. I have a concept of a plan. He doesn't need a plan. I'm spoiling it. He doesn't need a plan because Project 2025 is the plan. It's already been spelled out for him. And so the fact that the Democrats have the Republicans playing defense so hard when it comes to Project 2025, chef's kiss. Love it.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering
Because the-
what I describe as an opportunity economy,
Oh.
and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs
Because again, the question was, what plan do you have for the economy?
want you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
Mm.
I went to the World School of Finance, and many of those professors.
It wasn't like, I gonna lie, if it hasn't already gone viral, it will go viral. First and foremost, Wharton, you owe us an apology for graduating Donald Trump. Whoever graduated Ted Cruz, you owe us an apology as well. All these Ivies, is Wharton considered an Ivy? I think it is. Y'all owe us an apology because why y'all keep graduating these people who are trying to run our country immediately into the toilet? Apology letter now.
It's a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make.
Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
And we should talk about inflation because you have or you will hear Biden say that inflation, well, these companies are price gouging, or at least the Biden administration or the representatives will say things like that. And I'm sure that's a portion of the cost. And it does get confusing because you'll read one article and they'll be like, well, it wasn't Biden's fault, or it was Biden's fault, right? But I do think that the Biden administration did do some things to propel or contribute to inflation. For example, I'm reading this article right here, the CNBC article that says, for example, the American Rescue Plan, the $1.9 trillion stimulus package Biden signed in March 2021, offered $1,400 stimulus checks, which enhanced unemployment benefits and a larger child tax credit to households, in addition to other relief. But the policy and its magnitude was greater than the U.S. economy needed at the time, serving to raise prices by putting more money in consumers' pockets, which fueled the demand.
Thank you, President.
First of all, two things. Number one, wait, he sold us out to China? And if so, can he ask them about the TikTok ban and if they can sell TikTok? Because I would appreciate being able to stay on there. And number two, what is she talking about? Thanking who?
Because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, she's gone.
All right. And this is a whole longer video about how I do think the Democrats have moved to the right. But I do definitely think that Kamala Harris, what's the right word, has evolved. Some of the policies or some of the thoughts, maybe they're not the same as they were a few years ago. For example, we can start with the one regarding fracking. I thought at some point there was going to be a ban on fracking, and now I guess she's saying she's not going to ban fracking. Look, I think it's very simple. I think that as they shaped their campaign strategy, they looked at things and they started to say whatever they thought would be successful in order for them to win the most votes. I think it was very simple. At the end of the day, maybe I've never said this out loud, but I'll say it now. Look, politicians are not our friends. These people are trying to win an election point blank, period. And they're going to say what needs to be said in order to win. And I think that's what Kamala Harris went back and did. So I do think we see some of her positions changing, certainly as she began to build her campaign and figure out what she wanted her messaging to be. Two things, and I'm going to get out your way. Number one, the moderator should have asked him to spell first. Number two, and then define Marxism. And when I send you this, hold on. Do you see the pose nasty? The pose real nasty. And when I send you this, just know I know you're lying, and I'm gonna let you continue to fly, crash, and burn the plane.
Look at what she's done to our country. And when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say. And I think it's a lot higher than the 21.
Ladylike, you're not supposed to interrupt. A 9-month abortion, I'm not even going to get into that because other people have addressed that. I have a different point to make, and that is, do you really care about children if you give nothing but thoughts and prayers after a school shooting? Do you really care about children if in the ensuing years after Sandy Hook, Columbine, Uvalde, you still have nothing to offer except for more thoughts and prayers? So So that's why I think all of this is virtue signaling. I think if you really cared about children, you would do more to protect our children from going to school and not knowing if they're going to come home that day, because there have been little to no regulation. There's been no advancement, no meaningful advancement in that area since Sandy Hook long ago.
That's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice president.
You don't even talk to your vice presidential pick. Oh, so we're talking about vice presidents. Okay, well, Trump, let's talk about J.D. Vance. He called you an asshole. An idiot. A cynical asshole, to be clear. He's called you America's H-word. But now that he wants to be VP, now that he sees a chance to advance his career, he's going to tap, dance his way right into the White House position, get on his knees, do whatever needs to be done, be your little lap boy to get into office. But I don't know. That's like only if you're going to talk about VP picks. And my question is, who was they? Okay, who was that? Because what he's about to say is that every scholar said that they wanted to get Roe v. Wade back to the states, and that he's obviously exaggerating when he says every scholar. So I'm not going to go on him too hard about that. But I'm pretty sure that's not what every scholar wanted. I don't think so. I don't think that's true.
6 Supreme Court justices. We were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for.
Because of your radical Supreme Court, your radical right Supreme Court justice picks. Let's be clear, baby. Let's be clear. You were able to do that because you pushed Amy Coney Barrett up in there. And let's not even get into Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because baby, may you rest in peace, but you should have retired. Okay. Let me just say that she should have retired so that another person could have been appointed. So we wouldn't have this horrendous Supreme Court makeup that we have now. But you placed those radical right justices in there. Let's be clear. They want Roe v. Wade overturned. Okay. Well, most Americans don't. He likes to talk about polls. Look at the polls where the polls state that most Americans did not want Roe v. Wade overturned. And what happens in these instances is that now you have these completely different rules, these different laws between red states and blue states. And it's almost as if you have to move cross country, move around the country just to have your rights preserved.
Great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just witnessed a murder.
States, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal.
Let me say, I love that they're calling it the Trump abortion ban. Stick it to them. The Trump Project 2025, the Trump abortion ban. The girls are finally in it to fight.
Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage.
Thank you! I don't mean to yell. I'm sorry. Let me back up. This is what I was saying. Absolutely. Stick him with that because it's correct. He installed those justices in office who are the reason, not all of them, right? But he made it such that there's a conservative majority, and he knew that they were, and those justices lied. Let's not even get to how those justices, girl, lied through their teeth. I could do a whole TED talk about this, how they all sat up there and they were like, yeah, we're going to follow precedent. Yeah, we're going to follow precedent. And then they got in the office and they said, baby, precedent who? What y'all going to do? Who going to check me, boo? I have a lifetime appointment. And now Roe v. Wade, gone, chucked. Like Trump thinks people just chuck babies. 2025 all the way. We are here in it. So we don't have to imagine what a world would look like with Project 2025. We can see it now. It hasn't been implemented fully, but we can see these policies taking place. right now.
Freedom to make decisions about one's own body should not be made by the government.
I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well, I
to your
won't
desk?
have to
That's
because,
the question.
again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the.
Answer the question. Would you veto a ban or not? Notice how he hasn't. Notice how he tap dancing.
50-50. And we're saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has.
Exactly. Let's stop right here because notice how she asked him about the veto on the ban, and we ended the conversation on student loan forgiveness. How did we get from a veto on an abortion ban to student loan forgiveness, sir? Tap dancing. Didn't answer the question. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Said that you
Agree with what JD Vance said because you don't want to get tied down to an answer on saying that you would not sign a national abortion ban. Why? Because you would. You would just say, no, I will not sign a national abortion ban if it comes across my desk. If a national abortion ban comes across my desk, I will veto it. You have not said those words. Those are very clear words and responses. Again, both candidates do this, but I do think that Trump does it far worse, and he doesn't want to get tied down because he, again, number one, either doesn't want to piss off his base, a portion of his base that thinks he should sign a national abortion ban, or number two, he would sign it. Let's stop right there because my blood pressure is high. And I don't know how much more of a reaction video I can do. I already watched it last night. I don't know if I can do it again today. But the tap dancing, I said at the beginning of this video, the devil is a liar. See you next time. If you want a part 2, let me know.